Mike Fanone was a DC police officer on January 6th, got assaulted, and has kind of done a lot of public appearances speaking out against the rioters, speaking out against the event that took place on that day. And he went into court recently to give the victim testimony about one of the individuals who assaulted him. And during that, a heated confrontation happened. So we're going to show you this being announced by someone on Twitter, and then Michael Fanone kind of speaking to Don Lemon about this, and speaking to CNN in a different moment about what he feels like the punishment should be for the people who assaulted him. So first, a January 6th supporter just called Michael Fanone a piece of poop inside the courtroom. It came after Fanone told defendant Kyle Young during his victim statement that he hoped Young suffers in prison. There was a brief stare down, and the man has now been escorted from court. So there we go, calling him a piece of you-know-what. I've gotten people asking why I do that. I don't know. I just decided one time this show was going to be super clean language-wise, so I always do that. But you can fill in the gaps. And then here is him going on Don Lemon's show and getting emotional responding to all of this.
A lot of people in this country that would rather put...
And this is after that courtroom exchange between him and the person who he was testifying against.
What happened on January 6th and what happened with the previous administration in the rearview mirror, without addressing some of the root causes of, of that day and of that event. I think that there's a lot of different factors that lead people to continue to support Donald Trump. But I think that I don't know. I think that I'm sorry, Don. You got me there, man.
Yeah, I'll let you go. You all right?
Yeah, I just it's hard to focus on the bigger picture when, like what happened today is not just like an isolated incident. It's become my new reality. It's every single day of my life.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Yeah. So of course, because he came out and spoke against these individuals, and talked about the experience of being assaulted on January 6th, he has, received so much negative attacks, or negative attention from the right, and thus attacks. And then here is him on CNN talking about what he feels like is the reasonable sentence and reasonable response to what they did to him.
I want to ask you about Kyle Young, who was one of the people who assaulted you on January 6th. He's actually being sentenced today. And prosecutors are asking at this point for a sentence of more than 7 years in prison. What do you think he deserves? What do you want to see?
Well, I'll say this before the trial, and the guy's name escapes me. He was a former NYPD officer who was sentenced to 10 years. The time in and of itself really didn't matter to me. What did matter to me was what Mr. Young did with that time. And like all the individuals who've been charged with assaulting me, the only thing that I'm interested in seeing them do is suffer. I'm not looking for apologies. I'm not looking for them to turn their lives around. If they want to do that, they can do that. That's fine. But I want them to suffer, just like I have, just like a lot of police officers have. To me, that's what accountability is. Now, having heard that individual, that NYPD officer, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, I think that's a reasonable amount of time for.
Okay. So 10 years, that is a significant amount of time. And his focus is on them suffering, which, I mean, you understand the anger, but that's definitely real stuff. So then here is a phone call he received after that courtroom interaction, where, you know, he says that he wants the defendant to suffer in prison, and then the defendant yells out at him. And here's a phone call he received from someone that he actually picked up. And the person obviously says he wished that Michael Fanone would die.
Hello.
Is this Michael Fanone?
Yeah.
The Capitol Hill cop?
Well, not a Capitol Hill cop. I was a D.C. police officer.
All right. You're a complete sack of shit, and the world would be a better place if you were hit by a fast-moving bus tomorrow.
Anything else?
That's it, pal.
Come on, dude. You got to do better than that.
Go yourself, you sack of shit.
And?
So obviously he handled it in a somewhat comedic way, but you can see anyone who just comes out and speaks about their experiences getting assaulted on January 6th and then going to court and trying to hold people accountable for it, get that type of response from people, I guess, who support Trump or support the January 6th rioters. That's kind of synonymous. It's really incredible. And you hear all of these experiences from different people who have spoken out, or were in the center of all of this, drama is the wrong word for it, but all of this kind of devastation. And then they get even more of it afterwards from people who for some reason think it's justified to call and threaten, and wish for the death of a police officer who got assaulted trying to defend the Capitol. Really? We're pro-law enforcement, Republicans? And I don't say we as in we, I'm saying y'all are pro-law enforcement? Really? That's what I kept hearing my entire life. Republicans, back the blue, we're pro-law enforcement. And now we're hating on a police officer for defending the Capitol? Wild stuff. And lots of credit to Michael Fanone for speaking out and being brave, putting his face out there.